In this video, I'm going to show you step by step how to create this amazing SaaS platform, Coach AI, using Lovable as a front end and then n8n as a back end. I'm going to build this entirely with no code at all. I'm not going to write a single line of code. So you'll see exactly how amazing it is and how quickly it is nowadays to build a full stack application or a full SaaS service just using no code tools like Lovable and n8n. So this Coach AI that we're going to build is very similar to an already existing business called Coach Hello. So I kind of replicated this, and obviously I changed the color schemes and everything else, but it works exactly like it, where we're going to be providing a coaching service using our AI coach, and obviously the AI coach will be our AI agent in the back end that will connect via webhook to our front end and Lovable. So that way, when somebody is interacting with this really nice and beautiful front end UI, we can send all of the information from the front here to the back of the AI agent, where then it will process it and send that information back to us in the front end in this beautiful interface. Again, this is going to be a step-by-step tutorial, so make sure you stick around till the end, because you're going to learn how to build amazing app moving forward with these really cool no-code platforms that are available at our disposal. All right, so without any further ado, let's jump right into the video. All right, so I'm going to start with a demo first, and then we're going to go ahead and step-by-step build this thing. So the first thing I need to do is I'm going to go over to blank workflow, and I'm just going to bring in the template here. So if I go to my school community, this is, by the way, part of the deep dive series called Full Stack Web App that I'm doing, which is going to be a full introduction to webhooks, n8n, to Lovable, how to connect. So if you're serious and if you want to learn more, again, there's a ton of lessons here that I provided. This is just going to be the one that I'm going to provide here, but I have, done like an introduction to webhooks. I've also given kind of a detailed guide on how to connect Lovable to n8n via webhooks, because obviously I couldn't fit all of that in this entire video, otherwise this would be like a 5-hour video long. But still, this video, what I'm about to show you, is still going to be step by step, but if you wanted a bit more detail, please make sure you join the school community. Anyways, all right, so let's go ahead and take a look at this one right here. So I'm going to head down to my blueprint. So I'm just going to download this. So now I'm going to bring this over to my workflow, so that way we can take a look at the demo. I'm going to click on it from file, Lovable. All right, perfect. So what's happening here quickly is we're just listening to a webhook. We're processing the information via AI agent. This is connected to a SERP API, so that way it responds to any news related or any current events, and then it's going to send that response back to the webhook to our front end here. Again, I'm going to walk through step by step, but this just to show you what this is doing right now. So let me go ahead and bring this over here. All right, so as you can see on the left hand side, I'm going to test this workflow. So let me go ahead and click on test workflow. And now this webhook is listening for the information that will be coming in from the front end here. So imagine this is our website now. So I'm just going to say get coaching now. So this is going to now provide this little UI for me to interact with this AI agent or the service that I'm providing. So say, how can I help you with your career? Ask me about your career transition, skill development, industry insights, or career challenges you're facing. Because again, this is Coach AI that's kind of geared towards more professionals. So that's why we're kind of putting this placeholder question. So let's say I want to ask, I feel stuck in my current role. How can I find a more fulfilling career, right? So I'm going to click on this, or you can type it there. So I'm just going to press send. Now you'll see that this is going to send that information back to our backend. There you go, in an n8n, and the AI agent is going to process this, and this is going to send this information back to the front end here. So it says to find a more fulfilling career, start by assessing your passions, your strength through self-reflection or career assessment, blah, 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 right? So as you can see, this information came through. So now let's go try again. Let's say, what are the current top careers in 2025? So you will see that it will be able to access that as well. So let's go ahead and test the workflow again. I'm going to press enter. Same thing, it's going to now use SERP API to find out the current career, top careers. So the top careers projected for 2025 includes nurse practitioners, blah, blah, blah. See, it's very seamless. The interaction is very seamless and it's very quick, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at inside our n8n to see what's going on. And then we're going to go ahead and start with Lovable and then come back and build this thing. So let me zoom in here. So the information comes in via our webhook. There you go. So it says body, what are the current top careers in 2025? This is going to get processed through our AI agent, which has a very simple system message. And now this is going to utilize the Windows buffer memory to keep the conversation very natural. It's going to use SERP API to research information, and it's going to send this information back via this output, because we've told it to keep it brief. So we've said provide brief 3-sentence responses, right? But we can play around with the prompt later on to make this even better. All right, so that's what's happening, right? In the back end, everything is being handled by N8N, and in the front end, everything is handled by our Coach AI front end using Lovable. All right, so now that you have seen the demo, let's go ahead and get started with building this thing step by step. So I'm going to actually start with our Lovable. So let me go here, and perfect. So let's create a new file. So I'm just going to go to lovable.dev. So this is the front end of Lovable. If you're not familiar with Lovable, it's a really cool no-code AI platform where you can build applications, full stack applications, services, AI services, literally within minutes, right? Because it's very easy. You can interact with it in a natural way. So let's go ahead and take a look at kind of the first step. Obviously, it gives you a free tier where you can have up to, I think it's like 5 messages a day. Yeah, I think it's 5 messages a day, total limit of 30 messages per month. Each message means that every time you input a message or interact with your editor, that counts as one message. But anyways, try the free version, and if you needed more, you can upgrade. All right, so in here, the easiest thing to do is, because every time you put a message, that counts as one message, and you only have 5 messages. You want to make sure that your messages are being counted, right? So the best way to do it, I've made it pretty easy. So if I go to the classroom section here, inside, deep dive topics, so full stack apps right here. So if I go, and obviously I've provided all the resources there. So this is the exact code and the exact prompt that I'm going to use. If you want to build your own thing, I've also provided a universal prompt for Lovable Dev. Again, I did a lot of testing to come up with this great prompt here. So just copy this prompt. I mean, this is a very comprehensive prompt, but you can copy this entire prompt, paste it in like a ChatGPT, and I've provided a example usage here. So we said, use the following prompt template to generate a prompt for lovable.dev. I want to build a personal AI fitness coach, for example, right? So whatever you're trying to build, you'll use this prompt as a template, and then put it in your ChatGPT or Claude, and it will create that. There are a few important things to point out here that I'm going to show, but for this particular AI agent, for this, what we're about to build, the Coach AI, this is the code prompt here too. So if you want to build this out, just literally copy paste this. So I'm gonna literally copy this, see, and paste it over to my Lovable. So I'm gonna go over here, paste it. Here's a very important point here. Because obviously all of the information, all of the data exchange is going to be happening with our webhook here. So on the N8N side, so let's go ahead and actually get rid of this, so that way I can start fresh, right? So the first thing you need to do on the N8N side is to add a webhook, right? So I'm just going to click on search for webhook. This is going to be a trigger. The way a webhook trigger works is that it's a way for external application to communicate to N8N or with N8N, and this sends information back and forth via the response to webhook. But the trigger is the one that's going to initiate this workflow, right? So therefore, on the Lovable side, we're going to need to add the webhook URL, this triggers URL, so that way it sends all of that information back to N8N, so that way we can process that. All right, so our method is going to be post, and then the path, I'm just going to change this to Coach AI, for example, right? So this just means that the path is going to be a lot cleaner, because the default is just as gibberish. All right, so we're gonna do Coach AI. The production, if this is live, you want to make sure you switch to production, but we're gonna use test, because obviously I want to make sure everything is working. So you're gonna copy this webhook URL. Okay, you're gonna leave everything else as it is. We'll change this later on to accommodate when we add our AI agent. All right, so now you added your webhook. So now you're gonna go back inside this prompt. I didn't press enter yet, so because I just copy and pasted it. So now there's a section right here. On the second, it says webhook communication with N8N. It says insert your N8N webhook URL. So I'm literally going to get rid of this, and I'm going to paste my webhook URL. That's it. That's all you need to do. Everything else will be taken care of by this prompt that I created. And the way I generated this prompt is, again, I looked at I looked at this UI and kind of based on that, I created that prompt. So ours is going to look pretty much similar to this, but obviously with a few differences in the color schemes and everything else. All right, so you're going to enter that. Once you're done with that, all you have to do is now press enter. So now your Lovable is going to generate the user interface here, because this is a pretty comprehensive prompt. And as I was showing earlier, the pricing means like one message per it says 5 messages per day. So this counts as one message. That's what I was saying. Make sure that you're using a Claude or a ChatGPT to your prompts are good. Otherwise, you're just going to waste those messages. So once you implement that, now as you can see on the right hand side, it's using the code to build everything out. Again, it's kind of hands off. I'm not touching it. It's going to build everything out in the front end, and it's going to use that webhook URL that we attached to our prompt right here to make sure that it's attaching that, so that way we can send information back and forth to our backend and end-to-end. So let's go ahead and let this thing finish its work, and then we will go ahead and continue with next steps. All right, so it looks like it got done. So as you can see in the bottom, everything got updated, and now it will go ahead and spin up this preview so that way you can see exactly what it looks like. And there you go, perfect, right? Coach AI, we got the same, very similar user interface as this. So let me go back and take a look at this. Coach AI, there you go, right? Very similar to that. That says Coach Hello, ours says Coach AI, but you can see that it actually captured all of the color scheme and everything as well. But like I said, we'll change ours a little bit so that way the look and feel and the colors are different, but you can see that it, based on that prompt, it did a really good job of creating the front end, at least for the first step, right? So now let's go ahead and play around with this so that way we can see exactly what's happening. So you can see in the bottom, you have this your Coach AI, and if you just click on start coaching, then it will take you to this nice little user interface where you can have seamless interaction with this. Again, the one that we saw earlier, that was like a different version of this, but we can play around to make this even more robust and make the UI better. And we can use screenshots to say, hey, I want it to look like this, I want it to look like that. So you kind of can go back and forth with your Lovable here. So let's go ahead and add, because I want to change the UI a little bit. So I'm going to go back here because this is what I've created earlier. So let me maximize this. There you go. So I'm just going to take a screenshot of this. Okay. So now you'll see how easy it is to add and make changes to our UI here. So I'm going to go here and say, okay, I want the UI to look, oops, like the attached. Okay, and I'm literally going to bring in my screenshot here and press enter, and now it's going to update the color scheme and thing, hopefully. So that's how you can kind of go back and forth with it. You can either like chat with it directly and tell it exactly what you want, or you can add a UI screenshot. So if you're building something different, a different app, then you kind of take a screenshot and you add it to it and say, hey, I want the UI to look like this. So that way it goes ahead and changes everything. So now what it's going to do is it's going to update the code, and we can always take a look at what the code looks like. So if you click on code viewer here, you will see exactly that this is all of the code that it has built out, right? So if we go back to the preview, now you will see that right now it's processing and it's working on it. And once it gets updated, once it makes all those changes, this is going to update the preview to make sure it looks exactly like what we want. So let's go ahead and let this finish its work. All right, so there you go. It completed the work. As you can see, the UI got updated and now it looks beautiful with our own color scheme with this green and black, and you know it has this nice little chat window on the right side as an example, and the top, and updated these different navigation here. Obviously these are not clickable, but we can make this clickable if you want to build like multiple page website or a multiple page SaaS here. But I just wanted to show you how easy it is to update the UI here, right? So now all I have to do is click on get coaching now, and it just kind of brings up this like kind of the UI here. And if you want to further now change this and you say, hey, you know what, I kind of like the UI that it looked like earlier, so let me go ahead and bring this up here, because our UI looked like this. So now same thing, you'll just add your whoops, there you go. So you're gonna take the screenshot, same thing, you bring it over here, I want the chat window to look like the attached. You're gonna press enter, and now it's going to update. Same thing, because right now if I click on Git Coaching Now, it's taking me right here. I don't like this UI because I'm like, oh, I want kind of that nice user interface with those suggested questions, because that looks cleaner, right? Because that's what I had built earlier. So that's exactly what you can do here. So let's go ahead and let it finish this thing. Okay, so it actually made a mistake, and it didn't make a mistake, it was my fault. So I thought that I'm saying, hey, keep the front end or the landing page like this. So I updated that previous screenshot. I said, hey, no, I want the landing page to still look like this, but I want once the user clicks on Git Coaching Now, I want this to be shown at that specific area. So that's exactly what I did here. So now it's going to go ahead and update the landing page. Again, every time you kind of go back and forth, it does take a couple of minutes, but this shows you how easy it is to kind of interact and go back and forth here. So let's go ahead and let this finish, and then we're going to be done, and then we're going to switch over to our end so that way we can build that side out. All right, there you go. Perfect. So now the front end looks great. Now if I click on Git Coaching Now, and perfect, it looks like really nice with these. You can ask me about anything, right? So if you feel like you want to change the UI, same thing, take a screenshot, like, hey, I want it to look like this. But for now, this looks good. So now let's go ahead and connect our backend here, right? Okay. Let me go over here so I can minimize this. And we're going to head over to our NNN here. All right, so let's go ahead and send some information here. So I'm going to zoom in here. So right now, again, all it's doing is we're using the HTTP post method. And since we already copied this test URL earlier, so it should have that integration. If it doesn't, we can change it. So right now I'm just leaving the respond to immediately. We can come back and change it later on. So let's go ahead and test this workflow now. Let's see if we're getting any information sent from the front end to the back end here. So I'm just going to click on one of these suggested. I want to transition into AI engineering, but don't know where to start. I'm going to click on this, and perfect. It looks like we're sending that information back. I mean, obviously this preview kind of shut down, but we can come back and adjust that later on. So let's go ahead and now switch over to our N8N. So as you can see, we received this information here. We received the information here on the query, right? On the body right here. So it says, I want to transition into AI engineering, but don't know where to start, right? So perfect. So let's go ahead and pin this so that way we can work with this. So when you pin this, it means that we don't have to keep going back and forth. So now let's go ahead and add our AI agent. So same thing, you're going to click on your plus button. You're going to add an AI agent, right? So now it got added here. Great. So now let's go ahead and add a chat model. I'm going to use my ChatGPT here, or GPT-4 Mini. So let's go ahead inside. Now what we need to do is, obviously this is expecting a chat trigger. So we need to change this to define below. So I'm going to go to the bottom here, and now we need to grab the query that's coming in from the body of that webhook, right? Because this webhook is sending headers, a bunch of headers here, but we don't need to worry about that for now. We're just going to grab the query here. So I'm just going to bring it over here, and this is what it needs to respond. So for now, we're just leaving it as system message is you're a helpful assistant, and then we can change that later on. So now let's go ahead and take a look at and process this. So test workflow. So this should now process that, and it should output a proper response. Okay, it's taking a while. Okay, let's take a look at the output. Oh wow, the output is massive. So let's actually make it so respond in 2 short paragraphs, right? So that way it's not sending us this huge response there. Okay, so let's just leave it as this for now. All right, so now we need to be able to send, because right now the communication is one way, right? So we need to be able to send this information back to our front end in Lovable, and we need to adjust, because after it sends information, this whole thing shuts down, but we need to tell it, hey, like you need to be able to absorb that information via webhook. So the way to do that is, first of all, on your AI agent on the output, you're going to add another webhook called respond to webhook. So if I search for a webhook, you're going to look at respond to webhook. Oops, sorry, that's the wrong one because of the trigger. So here I'm just going to say webhook, and we're going to select respond to webhook, right? So this is where we need to now attach, or this is being attached to the output of this AI agent here. So on the inside of this, respond with, I'm just going to say all incoming items, so that way everything goes through. So now let's go ahead, and on the trigger here, we need to change this from respond to from immediately to using respond to webhook node, because now we're sending this information back to the front end via this respond to webhook, right? So we're good to go here. So now let's go ahead and clear this. I'm going to go ahead and unpin this, unpin, and now we're going to go back to our Lovable and we're going to tell it, let's go ahead and send a message and say, so looks like I'm sending the information to n8n successfully, but I am not receiving, if I could type, receiving the information back from the web, from n8n. Update the UI so it displays the information that I am getting back from n8n, right? Something like that. So I'm just going to press enter. So now they should be able to grab that information from the response to that webhook and display it to user, because right now this whole thing is kind of shutting down, right? So this should be that simpler build. It's not going to take too long, hopefully. But this will now update the UI. So let's wait for it, and I'm going to come back here, maximize this so that way we can see this. Okay, it's good. Boom. Okay, perfect. So it says UI updated. So it changed the display data, view code, blah, blah. We don't need to view the code. So now you can see the front end looks great. I'm going to click on get coaching now. This looks great. So now hopefully this will work. So let's go ahead and click on test workflow here. Test workflow. So now it's listening. And I'm going to same thing, ask them the same thing. Click on send. Now it should send it, and perfect. Look, it's sending it here. All right, great. It looks like at least we're getting some response back, right? So right now it says, I couldn't retrieve a proper response. Please try again, which is fine. So let's go ahead and see what's happening here. Okay, so the AI agent processed it. Right, the AI agent processed everything from the webhook here, and now it is sending that information back to this webhook. So it looks like everything is working. For some reason, it's not retrieving that information, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and now tell it to update. Same thing. Okay, so I'm now going to tell it. It looks like n8n is sending the response back via the webhook node, but the UI says, and I'm just going to copy this and paste it here. There you go. So that's how you can go back and forth, right? So right now everything looks like it's set up. It's just that it's probably having some kind of a tough time trying to analyze and see what's going on. But as far as the back end, it looks like the back end is working properly. The front end, we can fix this. And that's how you can, like I said, go back and forth with your Lovable till you get all of the stuff figured out. But as you can see, I'm not doing any kind of coding, right? Everything is just kind of natural language processing. All right, so it updated it. So let's try it again. Okay. So get coaching now. It's listening, or triggers listening. Okay, I'm going to click on this one this time. Okay, the AI agent processes it. Now the webhook is going to hopefully send that. There you go, perfect. So it looks like everything worked out, right? So it says to become a successful product manager, it's essential to develop a mix of technical, business, and okay. So now let's take a look and see if the output is actually matching the output of this AI agent, right? Whoa, that looks ugly. Let's click on this. All right, remove this. Okay, there you go. To become a successful product manager, it's essential to develop a mix of technical, business, and interpersonal skills, right? To become a successful product, and perfect. There you go. It looks like it is working great. So let's go ahead and try this again one more time to make sure that we're not getting any kind of error. Hello, I'm just testing. Let's see what happens here, right? And perfect, there you go. Hello, it looks like you're testing, okay? Let's go back. Hello, it looks like you're testing things out. All right, perfect. So everything is working fine right now. The communication is looking good. Now let's go ahead and add our memory here, because you want this to be a natural conversation. So you want to add a Windows buffer memory here. So obviously if you click on Windows buffer memory, it's going to give you a session ID error because it's looking for a chat trigger, right? So instead, same thing, you're going to change to define below. As far as the key, so we're going to need to add some form of session. So you can go back to your Lovable and say, hey, add a session ID. So that way you can send that information via the body back to your n8n, so that way you can add this right here. But for now, I'm just going to grab one of these to see if it works or not. This might not be the best use case, but why not give it a shot? So I'm just going to try this Xreal IP thing, right? All right, let's try that. Okay. So again, this is not best practice. Make sure you're updating your Lovable so that way you're sending a session ID. But for now, this is fine. All right. So for tools, I'm just going to add a SERP API. Okay. So this is Google search, and now it has access to current information on current data. So let's go ahead and now test this out. Same thing. I'm going to click on test workflow. Minimize this, boom. All right, so now I'm gonna say, what are the top jobs in 2025, right? So I'm gonna press enter, and now it should be able to access SERP API. There you go, perfect, right? So now it's going to retrieve that information, and on the front end, you can see this is a nice little UI showing that it's processing, right? So it's going to say the top jobs for projected 2025 is nurse practitioner, blah, blah, blah. And let's go ahead and make sure it came from here. Top job for 25 is nurse practitioner, IT manager, physician assistant. Perfect, right? Everything looks great. So now you can see you have an entire web app built with n8n as a backend and your front end here as Lovable. You can add additional tools. Then obviously you can add vector databases, and we'll build more of that obviously further on. But this is just kind of to show you an example of how all of this can work step by step. So there you go. You have your nice little Coach AI built. Feel free to play around with this, change the UI, and if you want to make these buttons clickable and add additional pages, you're more than welcome to do that, because you can now attach or you can kind of just tell it, hey, I want this solutions or this coaches page to have this and this and this, right? So then you can basically add that additional pages there, and you can add additional functionalities to reach out to your n8n to make it even more robust, right? So obviously here we're going to be building the one that I built here, the full stack app with Supabase, so check that out as well. And then I'm also going to actually do another step-by-step so that we can see how to connect n8n to Supabase, so that way you can do a full authentication. And then obviously all of these other ones, make sure you watch that so that way you have a full understanding of how to build more complex apps here. And then obviously we're going to be doing like Cursor AI with n8n as well as part of this deep dive topic series. And then obviously all these other deep dive topic series is available for everybody there. If you're again serious about learning how to build AI agents and cool workflows and automations, make sure you join the Skool community. We have a great group of passionate people. We've got live builds, we've got calendar, we have got calls on a daily basis, we've got co-builds, we've got business strategy sessions, and then obviously our classroom is packed with amazing automations, and then all of the different resources that you have available for every single one, so that way you can easily check out and get started on your journey when it comes to automations. And we obviously have call recordings, so that way you can check out the different live builds if you miss it, and a bunch of technical support and everything else. All right, well, hopefully you found that video helpful. Make sure you like and subscribe. We've got some amazing content that's upcoming you don't want to miss. Thanks for watching again, and I'll see you on the next one.